Now
Okay.
it's sending.
So completely uninteresting sitting here. Okay, I'm just gonna do that.
Make sure you wave your arms a lot.
Okay, we're live.
Let's start with that.
Hello. It's like grand gestures over here. Oh boy.
Fix it in post.
Okay, so I think it's dependent on if anybody joins, I'll go over this. If not, then I'm just
You
gonna
should do it anyway, because it's gonna stay up on YouTube.
Forever.
Yeah. And Marco's in attendance.
Mhm.
Marco needs to know creative critiquing.
That's true.
And we have
Nice.
that person
Oh
who's
boy.
signed up.
Yeah.
He's
So-
gonna watch on YouTube.
Huh?
He's gonna watch on YouTube, he said. 'Cause
Who?
He has
Yeah,
to.
see? Watch it on
He has
YouTube.
to. Damon signed in, but he said he's gonna catch it on YouTube.
Nice. Cool beans.
I'm gonna actually send out a text message really quick for the students to get the link for the YouTube.
Yes.
Right now, in case if somebody is interested but
Mhm.
lost, not remember what they have the
think-
link. I'll
Yeah.
go right
I'll
now.
start
If you're
at, like,
texting them, you might be able to send the direct link from the
3:02.
iPad.
What did you say?
If you're texting, you might be able to send them the direct link from the,
Yeah, so that's what I'm gonna do.
not for the channel, but for the video itself.
Yeah, it's right here.
Yeah, you might be able to
Do
take
you want
that.
me to send it to you?
No, I think I better do the channel, because next time they will have that one.
There you go.
That will take to the video,
Oh,
right?
Okay.
Because if they try to
Mhm.
go to that one, and then they won't be able to.
Sounds good.
So we've decided as a prize for people who attended 2 events and did evaluations for those events. I feel like we should make it both. I'm
Okay.
going to raffle off my record player with a few records.
Whoa.
What?
That's a lot.
And we're
Okay.
gonna YouTube live
Very
the
generous
raffle.
gift.
Yeah.
Nice.
David.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I think it'll be like a David going away present to people who were active during Trio Week.
That's awesome.
Let me sign in real quick.
Yeah.
Right. True. Okay.
What time?
I don't know if I should wait till like 3:02.
I think this is one where Trio staff can probably still be eligible. So, I don't know. Monica will work out exactly who's eligible and how. I think personally it should be 2
And the
full events
evaluation.
and evaluations.
Yeah.
I think it's like so far have not seen that many people be there for the full event.
I know, that's gonna be kinda hard to tell. Maybe we should just keep an eye on it from now
Well,
on.
we should have had it so that people could just
Yeah.
put the time down.
That's true. That's true.
Like instead of putting the date, put the time they showed up. But I don't
Yeah.
know. Okay, should I give it a couple of minutes because Monica's sending that text, or just go?
Yes.
Okay.
Like, we've been waiting until whatever 05, so you get 5 minutes.
Sweet.
So you
Stealing
can just
my
tell
nerves.
some jokes, you can do a quick stand-up.
Quick
Yeah.
stand up. Wait, no, that'll like expend all of my power. All of my presenting power.
Is anybody logging in online yet?
Not yet.
I figure like videos like this, we can just edit the extra. I mean, Monica's gonna ask me to edit the extra out, and then I'm going to ask Charles to edit the extra. Okay.
Cool.
You could probably trim it down first using YouTube Studio before you download the actual video.
True. True. That's smart, actually.
And then you have to worry less about trimming on whatever application you're using.
Yeah, I think that the big thing that we were gonna, or I was gonna see about doing is just like putting like an overlay on the video with like each PowerPoint or whatever, like image overlay, so that people can actually like view it. I'm assuming like the fact that it's bright and it 360 camera.
Can't see. I think you can see the title sometimes, but that's it.
Wow, I probably should have used darker colors.
Yeah.
Huh. Oh well.
As a programmer, I say dark theme everything.
dark theme everything. Yeah, truly, true. Just immediately get your phone, okay, dark theme. Like, just any new electronics, any new software, dark theme.
Right.
Yeah. I need to switch, I think Teams has, like Microsoft Teams has,
That's a dark.
I
theme now.
believe so, and I'm not using it, which is just foolish.
I
But
have
part of me is
everything
just,
dark theme too.
hmm?
I have everything dark theme, so.
Yeah, I mean, it's easier on the eyes, I'm pretty sure it's like better for your eyes, so.
Probably.
And not that it matters at this point in my life, I'm so, like, my prescription is so high right now, that is unreal.
Do you wear contacts?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, and then when I wear glasses, I have like these huge glasses, and the frames are each like, they're like lenses are each that big.
Yeah.
But,
Trust me, me too.
yeah, yeah. I do like my contacts, like it feels like less issues, but I know you can develop like astigmatism or something if you leave them in too long, and I'm
Yeah.
so much.
Don't be a programmer.
Yeah, honestly. Well, I like studied game art, so eventually I'd
Oh.
like to get into the game industry, and then I'm gonna be staring at screens all day.
I'll make games with you.
Yeah, right. Heck yeah. Actually, I mean, senior year, that's what I did. We had like 2 programmers, 2 designers, and I think 3 artists on our team. It was pretty cool. It was cool seeing what the programmers did, but like, you guys are kind of geniuses.
You
I
guys
don't know
use
about
any
all that.
engines? You guys use any engines?
I think we ended up using Unity, but I know like industry standard is more Unreal now. Like I think that's what I need to learn how to implement my assets into Unreal Engine.
I think they're both relatively good standards. Unity 5 and Unreal.
Yeah.
4.
Yeah, especially like with all these indie games. I think a lot of indie developers use Unity.
Unity, yeah. All the mobile games are transitioning to Unity now too.
That
Like,
makes
they're
sense.
reading old stuff. I know there's like some smaller, more programming games.
Yeah. Actually, as intimidating as I find programming, like my sophomore year, I think I had to take an intro to programming class, and I was like, this is gonna be the worst thing ever. But by the end of the semester, I like got to program this little dress-up game or whatever, and I was like, wow, I actually made that. So it
that's
actually,
awesome.
it's like I like the gratification that programming gives, I guess.
Programmers high, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Is that what it's called?
Cool.
That's awesome. Alright.
I'm curious, what language did you have to like learn? Probably like
I want to say
C#.
C#. Yeah, I think it was something pretty basic. HTML and C# were what they taught, like beginning level, and then I think it's like C++ and possibly Python later on. But
Those are gaming standards, yeah.
Yeah.
C# and C++.
yeah,
Sometimes Lua, but I don't think that's something they teach you.
yeah. I don't think I've heard of Lua. They might teach it now because I think like the program is different than when I graduated. But like they have a VR program now, like a VR major or something, which didn't exist when I was here. Yeah. Yeah, that's like when I graduated, like my senior year, not all of them, but like a couple of the indie teams decided to work on VR games, and my team was one of those teams. And so I think that probably just picked up, and they were like, okay, we're just gonna make a major for it. So that's my guess as to what happened, but I suppose I could just go ask. Okay, cool.
Anybody on line?
What? Yes.
Nice, awesome. Hello, one person. It's great to have you. Okay, cool. So, I guess to start off, these are the upcoming, or I put up the upcoming Trio Week presentations, because today's only Tuesday and this goes until Friday. So, the 2 workshops that I've been kind of encouraging students to go to are specifically the walk-in resume reviews and like kind of in preparation for Code, which is on Thursday, which is a huge like career exposition event. So it's a really good way to get your portfolio and resume and get like some feedback and possible job prospects and all of that. But of course, all of our workshops are pretty handy dandy and useful information to have. So they're worth checking out. But yes, okay, so my workshop is on like constructive criticism. So nope, wrong computer. Okay. Nice. creative critiquing. So, I guess the first question is, what is constructive criticism? And so Columbia is an art school, so we have like visual arts, we have like audio majors and writing majors, and in all of these classes, there's probably at least one professor that has asked you to stand up at the front of the room or like sit and read it, but either way you're presenting your work to the class. And at the end of that presentation, you are, in theory, supposed to like get feedback from your peers and be able to kind of like edit your work and iterate and all of that. That is not oftentimes what happens, and that might be because people don't know what to say, they don't want to say it in a way that is hurtful, or they just want to be the first person to speak and then nobody speaks because nobody wants to be the first person to speak. So this workshop, I wanted to kind of present some tips and foundation for how to kind of like approach the situation, both from the point of somebody who is giving a critique and getting a critique, because it really shouldn't be like a painful process. Like it shouldn't be something that you feel is going to hurt your feelings or is going to hurt somebody else's feelings. So I guess some of the feedback that I've heard is like, I really like your design, or I don't think that works. And it's never like, they never present the why this works or why it doesn't work, and then you're kind of like left back at the same place as if they hadn't said anything at all. So, except that sometimes it does feel nice just hearing like, yeah, my work is pretty cool. So, the reason constructive criticism is so important is like, we are kind of innately ego-driven creatures, and so we fall in love with our work and we're putting hours into it, spending all-nighters on it, and of course like we know our work inside and out like better than anybody else, and so to kind of like put yourself in a vulnerable position of like hearing feedback from people, it's like not always particularly appealing, and so I think people kind of shy away from that, even though like as artists the most important thing we can do is iterate on our work and like improve it and, you know, make changes. So I guess there are like kind of 4 things that constructive criticism is or should be. The first is it should be specific. You don't want the presenter or the artist to like kind of be grasping at straws as to what you meant. Specificity really helps and is just way more efficient for people to make changes and have a conversation about it. Constructive criticism should be concise. So I have a habit of just like talking, and it kind of like snowballs, like it's rambling, quote unquote, and that's not always like conducive to and that is not always conducive to a like good conversation, because you get lost in like words and then the info is just like, wait, what did she say again? So try to make it concise, try to really think about things before you say them, so that it like truly is like a connected conversation. Constructive criticism is well intentioned. So when you're getting critiqued, it isn't about you, it's about your work. And I think that sometimes people like hear, cool, I'm gonna get critiqued, and then it feels like an attack on their character, and that's not the case. Like anybody that is giving you worthwhile feedback is not attacking your character. Like you might have a mortal enemy in your class or something, but that's kind of like an outlier situation. So, and then the 4th thing is that it should be easily implemented. These are things that the artist should be able to like hear from you, and like they can just go to their computer and make the change, or they can Google it, or like they have resources and direction, like very clear direction. So basically, constructive criticism is just like all about clarity, like try to make everything very clear and pointed. So for the sake of this presentation, I'm going to use like 2 of my college projects. And both of them, like, I've had years to like look at them and be like, all right, well, these are things that I don't like about it. But for the most part, I think they're decent. So we're gonna like kind of like go over a couple examples. So some less helpful examples that like may come up in class are like her hair doesn't look good, and so the reason that this is unhelpful is because it doesn't lack any direction, it's not specific, and it's kind of like, so what changes am I supposed to make here? You should have used a different color scheme. What color scheme? Like, am I using cooler colors, warmer colors? Like, what about these colors is wrong? Like, that is an answer that you should have for your own critique, I guess, when you're giving it to somebody. Her outfit has too many buttons. And it's kind of like, so, okay, but what's the problem there? Like, what is the problem with her having too many buttons on her shirt? And, like, how many is too many, I guess. And, okay. And then I guess the last one, which comes up so often, is the art style is cool. Okay. Compliments are great. But this just, like, it lacks specificity. So it's kind of like, where do you take this? Where do you go with this? And so then I guess there are more helpful critiques, sort of. So one would be, I like the line work on this character. It makes her look more stylized, which works well with her concept. This compliment is specific. The person knows exactly what part of the drawing the person liked and what they can build off of. Adding more colors to her design would make her stand out. You can use a color wheel picker for some easy ideas. So this kind of feedback is great because it provides resources, and this can be a conversation that you have after the critique or during, but providing people with resources means that they can kind of just like really work on their own. Like, it cuts down a lot of questions and allows for more autonomy with this. And then I guess the last example would be, there's a lot of visual noise on her shirt compared to the rest of her outfit. Maybe try reducing the amount of buttons to make it less busy. So that's kind of the why of the critique earlier that was like not as helpful, which is there's too many buttons. Just like pinpointing things, being specific, providing resources. Constructive criticism is all about like things that are like feedback that is actionable, things that people can actually make changes to. And some things to consider are starting, so this is like a sandwich method, and when I was kind of like doing some research for this presentation, I ran into some like conflicting ideas of whether or not that is a good method. But it's basically like a compliment, and in the middle it's like the critique, quote unquote, and then another compliment. And so I think that that's good because I think people really listen when they know that you're interested in their work, that you're engaged, and you like want good things for their work. So it is worth, if you are struggling to find out like what to say to your peers when they're up there presenting, just think of something positive, like start off there, like that is a good place to start. Like I mentioned before, organizing your thoughts beforehand. Critiques really, they don't have a ton of time specifically in college. People are up there for like, what, 5 minutes maybe, something like that. And when they I took like a creative writing class, and even then I think it was like 5 or 10 minutes of reading. Like it wasn't a long time, and because you have to go through everybody. So if you, while you're hearing their presentation or the person is presenting, like just kind of keep it in your mind and formulate like solid thoughts and ideas, and sometimes writing that out is helpful. But that kind of goes with keep the critique short. It should really just be like general information that the person can walk away with and work with. So that also kind of ties into the last one, which is don't nitpick. Focus on big concepts. Because like again, not that much time. Having a grasp of like the larger concept is what really is going to be impactful. So Leopica is a website that I went to because they had an article on constructive criticism, and they have they have this acronym ASSESS, and so ASSESS has a couple like different parts. So it's like a way to critique. The first thing to keep in mind is A, which is acknowledge. You should observe their work and figure out specific things that do work, and you can acknowledge that before criticizing or like giving them criticisms, I suppose. The second one is stay curious. So that is like being engaged with the work of the person that you're critiquing is so important, because like the more thoughtful you are, like it benefits both of you to really stay curious about each other's work and direction and how to grow from that. The third one is stop and listen. So the critique is for the person that's being critiqued. When they're presenting, don't interrupt them. Try not to form like preconceptions and everything. Really listen to what the artist is saying, because sometimes it can be like redundant and unhelpful, like your criticism. If you haven't been paying attention or listening to what they were saying, they may have already considered what you were thinking of telling them. The fourth thing is to express what didn't work and why it didn't work. That's kind of the meat of the critique, so to speak, to me. That is like the verbalization of your thoughts and ideas, what the person is going to walk away with and work from. So suggesting is like how you would approach it differently. So you can suggest specific areas of improvement and strategies, and this is kind of where things like the critique meets implementation. That's that sort of step. And then solicit is the last one. Solicit is kind of opening dialogue. So that's what becomes a conversation between you and the artist. Just kind of hearing like where they're coming from, them hearing where you're coming from, and kind of just like communicating. Because if it's one-sided, then you can't really maximize the benefits if it's just this one-sided, you're talking at them or they're talking at you. Okay, so now we can practice on one of my old college projects. This was a piece that I really loved the line art for, and as soon as I got to coloring, I just completely shut down. I was like, I don't know color theory like that. I don't know patterns like that. This is like freshman year or something. And so I took it up to the front of the classroom, and I was like presenting it, and people were like, oh, that's so cool. And like in my mind, I was kind of like, okay, but I don't like it. There are things that need to be changed, but I just don't know exactly what needs to be changed. Please give me something. Please give me a little bit more than that. And it just wasn't there, which is why this is important. But I was kind of like opening this to the audience today. If like you see anything here, like how can you use the, like whether that's using assess or the things that were discussed earlier, what is a critique that you would give this image? And I don't know if it is like most productive to just go in a circle or wait for people to raise their hands. The crowd is kind of small today, so Marco, I'm gonna definitely call on you. I was making eye contact with you. I'm so sorry.
It's fine. I feel like you have a few different shading styles. So I'm looking at the left leg, the green one.
Mhm.
I'm seeing like a hard shadow there, but when I look at the right, there's a lot of gradient, and a lot of softer shading. I think that kind of conflicts.
Right.
And then about shading specifically on the flower stem, there isn't any.
Mhm.
I think maybe just unifying that and deciding maybe you just want to do the hard edges or the soft gradient would help unify the whole image.
Right. So that's great. I can like that was solid information that I can take to my computer and make those adjustments like now if I wanted to. It was specific. Like I know what I can reference. Like it was just good information to work with. So anybody else have anything regarding this? David, I'm gonna call on you. Is that fine?
For sure. I'm also curious if Denise has anything.
Mhm.
Denise is a photographer.
Oh, really?
I am,
Awesome.
but I don't know anything about drawing or anything, I'm sorry.
Well, through a
All your fun.
photographer's eyes, like, is there anything in photography that you think could apply to this image? And I don't mean to put you on the spot because I know like it is hard coming up with things sometimes, but I know like color theory is probably definitely a thing for you guys as well. I don't know that line art is necessarily, but
I like that it looks like it's under a black light.
oh, how does it look like? I mean, I guess okay, cool. So I'm not a photographer. So what part of that looks like it's under a black light, and why is that appealing to you?
All of the yellows and greens,
Mhm.
and just personally for me, it just reminds me of when we used to roller skate and then they turn on,
Nice.
black light. Yeah, that's what she reminds me of.
That's awesome. Okay, cool. So it kind of like, would you say like it sets a mood sort of for the piece? Okay.
Definitely, and maybe, I mean, just my opinion, but maybe a different background would make her stand, cause her hair kind of blends
Yeah.
in with the background, but otherwise it looks really good.
Yeah, definitely. See, that was a great critique too. Like it was kind of layered between compliments, which is great, but I also got feedback on specific things that I can work with, right? I can work with the colors and maybe make the black light kind of look more intentional with the piece, since this is something that was like, it was expressed that somebody liked that. So those are kind of like examples of good critiques, and you can really apply that to any department here, or even if like outside of departments, like in an office job or whatever, when you're coming up with performance critiques, like, well, I really love how you worked with this part of the project. These are specific things that you can do moving forward that's going to benefit the rest of us as well. Okay, so the final part of my little presentation is kind of like just a little practice. So there are pens on the tables. I have like these sheets. There's a part that says, it's like a box where you can sketch and then a box for feedback. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna sketch, I guess for like the purpose of this, I put like a dog, because nobody draws a good dog unless you're like really good. So all of these are
No.
probably gonna look pretty bad, and that's the point. And then, so you're gonna draw a quick dog, we'll do like 5 minutes or something, so don't have high expectations for yourself. And then we're gonna pass that image to the person next to you, and they're gonna write some feedback based on these kind of like tips and tricks and info. And then at the end of that, we'll present kind of at the front what your sketch is, and then the feedback that you got, and then just kind of like maybe a sentence or two on what you found helpful and unhelpful about the feedback that you received. So I'm gonna pass these around. Cool. Marco, I expect great things. No, I'm just kidding.
Can I use reference?
Dang.
Yeah, I referred to your mind.
Oh, no.
Oh, really? Okay, gotcha. Okay. I mean, that's the point though.
Everybody in this
Mine's
room is
horrible,
doing.
for real, mine's
Maybe
horrible.
a stick figure.
Yes,
Can't
it's
judge
a stick
something.
dog.
It's okay.
Great.
Stick
Oh,
dog.
anytime.
Do it, yeah, it's cool. I'll also make a stick figure dog, no worries. If you wanna draw in this folder, so that, oh, okay, that works too.
I can use reference though, or no? Is that too
You
hard?
can
Is
use
that
reference,
too
Marco.
try hard?
Peter?
Uh-oh, what's happening?
No, artists use references. Okay. Okay, so it's 3:27 right now, 3:32-ish.
You chase him away.
I'm trying to find the perfect reference picture. I've spent my entire time doing that.
Okay, well, the rest of us aren't using reference pictures, so these images are gonna get really bad.
Okay, I've picked my guy.
Man, I don't even remember what dog's background looked like.
Compare and contrast. I'm gonna stick to technology.
Awesome.
Remind me never to volunteer at art school again.
This is great. I would read this whole comic of dogs that look exactly like this. For some reason, their tongue is just always out, no matter what. Oh man.
So again, like when we are like passing these around and kind of critiquing, the point isn't to tear anybody down.
Oh, please do.
It'll be a lot funnier.
Except for Leo specifically, no.
That is against the sex, guys.
The moment I agreed to this, I already knew what was gonna happen.
No, it's okay. Mine looks like I literally created the assignment and mine looks like bad.
Yeah,
so,
okay. Have you seen this?
Well, I'm about to. So.
You guys are too kind. I almost put the tongue on the ears.
Oh boy, that might just be like, that might need some
Do we need to get you, like, a red
anatomy
pen for the
training.
tongue?
Yeah.
Exactly. Maybe some color variety league about it. Use some blue for the eyes too.
Blue dog eyes are actually kind of cool. Huskies are so cute.
Yeah,
Can't
it's
lie.
definitely a husky.
I think. I think mine is like a Chihuahua Labrador hybrid, and I don't think that that's physically possible, like
I
naturally.
think, well, I
don't
forget
think-
which breed it is. There's some breed that is, what's the other really small, Corgi.
Corgis are so
are one of
cute.
the few breeds that can actually be bred with some difficulty with every dog breed.
That's crazy, but they're so cute.
And the
though.
Corgi elements actually come through. I learned that over the weekend.
That's
Now you know.
Now we know, yeah.
That's
Great
interesting.
Dane or something.
That means corgis are like
Oh, I
the
guess.
ultimate blueprint dog.
Yeah.
Wow.
You cheated, you drew a wolf.
That is true. Well, no, it's a husky.
Yeah.
It's a-
Everybody's drawing huskies today.
Husky.
It's all huskies.
You need the blue.
Alright, I'm gonna give it another minute or two.
Oh boy.
There's no need.
See, Marco, this is why I knew you shouldn't have looked up a reference.
We can do it.
5 minute sketch.
There's a Dalmatian.
Yeah, it's supposed to be, but you know.
I got it. I got it.
It took some medicine, it bloated it up.
It needs to take some water pills,
Yeah,
for
it
sure.
definitely does. It's in a hard way right now.
Cruella de Vil would be happy.
I would also read that comic.
You know what? We just combine them. Just make it the same comic.
They're a family.
You're just super skinny and mine weighs like 300 pounds. That's nice.
They should be in the same comic. Let's be real.
Definitely.
Let's be real. My husky, your Dalmatian.
And all offended people, that's obviously it's a Dalmatian.
I knew it right away.
See, we all know
The
that.
ears and the spots, I got it.
Everyone sees it.
Alrighty, is everybody,
The pro over there is still going at it.
Alright, can you
He
put
was just
assess
gonna keep
back
going,
up?
though.
Or is that gonna be distracting because we're gonna try to go through every single one?
put what up?
The assessment.
The assess.
Oh, yeah.
Would that be helpful?
Absolutely.
Sure.
It'll give you more time as you scroll
Cool.
by that.
Also, I totally agree with what you said, like the blacklight thing. Those are like neon colors,
Yeah,
right?
right.
It was
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
That's a cool drawing.
It was cool.
My
Freshman
only
year,
question was gonna be, was this supposed to be a character in a video game?
I have no idea. I was really
Oh.
blindly doing that.
Because I'm a huge fan of things that have chaotic elements when you watch Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Yeah.
Like that, she looks a lot like the main villain in
Oh,
that,
really?
who just like comes from like a whole bunch of universes into one, so she retains people in that retain
Oh.
outfit elements from other universes,
That's
and
really
it's
cool.
really amazing. So that's what that reminded me of. If it was in a video game, depending on how much you want to spend, I feel like that character could get very expensive.
Yeah.
That was
true.
gonna be my only thing, so it really just depends on what you're going for, but I agree, I thought it was great.
Awesome, I'm glad. Yeah, freshman year, I had zero concept of color theory, and I was like, neon, pink sounds great. So, like,
I can give you so much critique.
Yeah.
for my skills.
Alrighty, so we're gonna, Marco, it's time.
I know.
It's time, my
I
guy.
know, I know.
It's time, friend.
Really, you don't
Okay,
know.
we're gonna pass it to the left.
To the left, okay.
I definitely just did
Left,
that.
yes.
You're lucky.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Oh,
This is so cute.
Is that a chihuahua?
Yeah, he's wearing a wig.
Ah, I was wondering.
Oh, I
It
shouldn't
looked
have
like
told
the
you.
Trump wig.
I shouldn't have told you.
It's a Trump chihuahua.
Oh no.
Alright, so we write down,
So honestly, 1 to 4 critiques. I'm gonna say 2 to 4 critiques. Try to come up with 2 to 4 things that you notice, things that you liked, things that you think could be changed. All of it is fair game.
Now you guys have to see my handwriting too.
That better be constructive criticism over there.
No, I just totally realized that the words husky and woo are on here, so I just, it skipped me for a bit.
You gotta do one more.
Do I have to do 4?
You don't have to do 4.
Oh, sorry, never mind.
Yeah,
No, I'm
it's more
being
just like.
too critical. This is against the rules.
Do we return them? We don't?
No, so now, oh yes, good point, yes, okay, so return it to the person that drew it.
Okay.
Wonderful.
Okay, I'm gonna
Here's
cross
a,
out.
here's a picture I was working off of.
Oh,
Oh,
you really did have a.
I also
Yeah.
did 3, so.
I put it down as a suggestion, I thought you were just doing that.
Alright, thanks, man. Okay, so, this camera's not gonna be able to see it, and we're probably not gonna be able to see it, but we can kind of like read the feedback that we got.
You probably can read my handwriting.
I can use your
So, I can go first, I guess. Marco was dissecting my piece, I suppose, my dog. So the first comment was that the anatomy looks right. That's like good verification of the fact that it does look like a dog, which is great. That's like great foundational stuff there. He looks as if he's mid-jump, but not fully committed, question mark. Maybe plant his feet on the same plane to stand or lean into a jumping pose. So kind of like adding dynamics to it would give it more character is what I took away from it. And that's a really good suggestion. I like the repetition of fluff on the tail and ears. Thanks, me too. Thanks, me too. I love cute things, so that was definitely, I guess, unintentional because I just end up drawing like soft lines for everything. But anyway, add some shading to the spots so they look like they were spots on white fur. That's a really good suggestion. Right now, mine is just line art, and like there are lines as to where the spots should be, but because they're not colored in, it might be like muddled or unclear. So overall, like these are great, like it's great feedback, and I can work with this to make a better dog chihuahua thing. No, it doesn't look like a chihuahua. I can't even call it that. Okay, so Marco, why don't you go ahead and?
Sure. Should I show off my? I think you guys saw it.
Yeah, beautiful.
Okay. Here's-
Show the 360.
Do the
I love
360
it.
camera.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Got that?
Just closer.
This is gonna be so funny. Oh my god.
Presidential dog.
I like I like the look in his eyes. They look soft. He reminds me of both Michael Jackson and Trump. And I suggest fixing his hair to not look like Trump because I don't want him to be teased.
I don't want him to be teased is great feedback.
They're the bullying.
Yeah. He doesn't deserve that.
Absolutely. I'll make notes.
But okay, so with the notes that you're making, what is one of them that you feel like you actually, like a change you would, or like something that you actually took away from this kind of feedback? Because I think like critiques can also be fun. Like they can also just be lighthearted and stuff. It's good to also include like, like, you know, you said I like the look in his eyes or whatever. Like that is good because, you know, it really is working with the dog and can kind of, I don't know, you could make them cuter based on that if you wanted to, or kinder. That is actually something that you could have added to the critique is what look is it to you? Like what is that look to you? Is it like a sweet dog look? Is it intimidating? Kind of stuff like that. Cool. So, yeah.
I guess the takeaway would be the Trump hair. I wasn't necessarily going for that. I was going more for like a Beatles bowl cut. So I think it's this little tuft in the back that I added that I could possibly remove.
So the reference that you found had a bowl cut.
Yeah.
a dog with a bowl cut.
That's right. What do you want to see?
Okay.
Here you go. Through your camera.
Yeah.
By the way, the folks at home
Yeah.
also liked your dog.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
If I can give us some suggestion, I feel like coloring would make a significant difference there.
Coloring?
you
Yeah,
know,
true, true.
I will look into that.
That brown hair would really.
Exactly.
So that's like a perfect example for all this, like
Yeah.
something that we're seeing
True.
that is not intended but can make a huge difference.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
I think we gotta.
Wrap it up? Okay.
Yeah, no, you're doing a great job, but I don't know if we have time for the rest.
Okay, that's fine. But yeah, these are like good examples of kind of feedback and how you can, like, when you're in class and it feels awkward, like hopefully you now know a little bit more how to start the conversation, how to kind of give a little bit more feedback to people, and hopefully they do the same for you, because like your work is awesome and you put so much effort into it and you really do deserve that. So that's all I have for this. But
Like my feedback.
I love it. I like the recommendation for the high protein, low carb diet.
That's awesome.
Sure needs it.
wow, okay, I'm actually impressed with myself. I really thought this was gonna be a 5-minute presentation. Nicely done. Okay.
Just a little over 5 minutes.
Yeah. Oh man. Bummer drag.
While I was in grad school, there's an infamous situation where we were told to do a 30-minute presentation on our favorite writer, but we were supposed to go over a book of short stories they did, but talk about the rest of their work to contextualize it. So I made a presentation, and I really didn't think it would go 30 minutes, and it was on my favorite writer. And when I finished the presentation, I looked at the clock, and I kind of saw some people's faces, and they were looking a little impatient, you know? And I looked at the clock, and I was like, oh my God, it's not been an hour and a half. And the teacher went,
pain.
yes, it has.
That's awesome.
And I was like, I'm so sorry. And she's like, no, it was all interesting, or else
Yeah.
I would have told you to sit down.
Great.
But everybody else in the room was like, I never want to hear you talk about that dude ever again.
I did
You might
that
not
with-
even read his books now. Took a lot of work to get them to open back up to that author, but yeah.
I did that with the Pokemon presentation in my like oral communications class, I think. I was like, all right, or no, writing and rhetoric 1. They were like, do a presentation on something. I was like, okay, Pokemon. And I ended up going way over, but every single time I always think I'm gonna fall like way short, and then it never happens. So people are just like, sit down. Just like, okay.
I was like, to watch how you open it up, it's really just that simple.
Yeah, so
I did the same thing
camera,
too.
camera, and then.
I did
Yes,
the
I
same
wanna
thing
see,
too.
I have to see your drawing specifically.
It's right there.
That is bad critique.
You did not sit in on
You
this
need to be here for this. You need to be here. You need to be here for this.
That's a good answer.
See, I thought it represented a really interesting 60s counterculture indie art comic book aesthetic.
It's really
I
good. You're
wanted
sitting
to
next to
see
Dave.
it.
David. It's really good you're sitting next to David.
That's good critique. You should learn from David.
There you go.
Sure, that's great critique.
It's
I mean,
harder to
no,
draw
because
dogs.
this is exactly what you told us you were going to draw, and you did draw it. So
Yeah.
it's great actually.
Yeah.
For what it is great.